Hey guys, yeah, in this video, I'll be discussing my 2024 Super Rugby Pacific prediction. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. The season's ever closer, and yeah, just I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing. And of course, it's kind of, it's the start of a new cycle, really. Now we got 4 years until the next World Cup, and really the first year, we're going to see a lot of buzz around the competition because there's so many names that kind of moved around. And yeah, just we have a lot of upcoming talent, to say the least. And yeah, the teams are definitely going to be different, let's just say. So it's going to be very unpredictable to kind of pick who I believe will win at the end of the day. But hey, this is what I'm going to try to do right here. But before we get into this, make sure to like the video, guys, subscribe to our channel, and definitely leave a comment below, letting me know your prediction for the Super Rugby season and who you think will win. But yeah, let's just dive right into this. So as you can see right here, guys, this is the table I'm going off to my right here. And yeah, it's just one of those where I'm going to just go from 12 to 1, and then I'll give you guys my go over the playoffs, and then just my eventual winner. But starting number 12, I've gone the likes of the Rebels here. They're the team I think will finish in last for this season. Again, a lot of this does depend on kind of the off-field stuff that's happening at the moment with the Rebels. I just think that it's going to be a bit of a cloud under the heads kind of most of the time, kind of a rainy cloud to say the least. That it's either going to create a whole that kind of negative vibe, I'd say, around the club, or in some way the Rebels players can obviously kind of rejuvenate and kind of just go from one last hurrah, or just kind of continue to push on and kind of just fight the negative buzz, you could say, around the club from off-field stuff. But I mean, look, from a good perspective, of course, the Rebels have brought in some good players through the likes of Tano Tupou, the Brooklyn, Lachlan Sakai, Loto, Flip Ngadu, all of them obviously Reds. All of them previous or current Red player. Previous Reds players, and they even brought in Darby Lancaster as well from the Sevens team. So that's a good sign, I believe, as well. But yeah, just the Rebels. It's a weird one to choose where they'll go into. But I just think that all the things that I can just see from the club, I just don't know how they're going to do it. So for that reason, though, that's why I put them at the number 12 spot. Yeah, so with number 11, of course, I'm going the likes of Mono Pacifica. They do have the new coach in Tana Amunga, of course, from the Blues. And yeah, I think he's just the perfect fit for them, really. And yeah, I just think he'll be able to kind of rejuvenate kind of this side and kind of get the best of a lot of players. Again, they've brought in some kind of key signings, to say the least, for the likes of Julian Sevilla, Nigel Awong. He was pretty impressive throughout the Rugby World Cup for Samoa. So that's a good one. They've brought in Savoni Havili from the Crusaders. That's a good signing. Even Latal from the Waratahs, and James Lay, of course, from the Blues, who is going to be captain for them. So yeah, some decent signings in there. Again, they have obviously lost some big names, particularly with just the big ones are obviously Levi Mua and Tamosi Tabata Nawai. So those are two big losses there. But yeah, I mean, what can you do, really? What can you do? But yeah, again, that's kind of where I think that they'll finish in terms of 11. I think they'll get a few wins, but just not able to kind of push the boundary more than that. I don't expect much from them in that sense. So that's kind of where I think they'll finish. In terms of the 10 spots, this is where I was debating between the Reds and Waratahs, to be frank, guys, because I just think both clubs are in a situation where, like I said, all these clubs are in a kind of a new cycle. So we're having a lot of young blood, to say the least. But when you look at the talent, I think, from both sides, I don't know. It's a difficult one because, with the Reds, they don't have, they no longer have Brad Ford, who's left. They have Liz Kiss there and back in. The new man in charge, and yeah, he has a big task ahead of him because the Reds just they don't look like the same squad that they used to. So it's one of those where there has to be a lot of talent that kind of rises again. Hopefully for the Reds fans, and that's what they're hoping. But yeah, from the Waratahs perspective, however, they've obviously had the likes of Mark Kwantawasi, who again will be playing his final season for the in Super B, as he is going to go off to NRL for the following year. But yeah, I mean, I think they brought in the likes of Andrew Kellaway as well, so that's a good one for them. They brought in I'm trying to think who else they have. They have Max Jorgensen, so that's a hell of a back line there that they have. And yeah, there's some decent players in there overall. I mean, I think they even brought in Ferguson Warner, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong with that, but I think they have brought in him, so that's a decent signing as well. So yeah, I think when you're looking at both sides, I'm going to put the Reds at 10th. I'm going to put the Waratahs at 9th. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going off for those two sides there. Yeah, again, moving on then towards 8 spots, and obviously this is where the teams who do qualify now for the playoffs. So in number 8, this is where I've gone with the Western Force, and I believe they're going to be the one surprise team in Australia that kind of does well. I'd say this year. I'm kind of hoping they do well. They brought in Ben Dawson, had a fantastic. I mean, well, let's just not say fantastic, but out of all the Wallabies players that played in the last World Cup, he was probably the best player in terms of form. And yeah, he did a good World Cup, so he can obviously kind of replicate. Hopefully, he can kind of replicate that into this new jersey, which is the Western Force. And alongside him, of course, will be Nick White as well, who's going to be his partner in crime number 9. So that's a pretty good 9-10 combination that the Western Force will now have. And yeah, there's some good players in there. Hamish Stewart, of course, Chase Tiatia. They got Michael Wells. They have some good players overall. So I just think it's one of those sides where I think they're going to definitely be a team. It's going to be hard to shove them off their pace. So yeah, I'm going to go Western Force number 8. In terms of number 7, this is where I was kind of debating. Well, 7-6 is where I was kind of debating between Fiji Dura as well as the Highlanders. So again, the Highlanders have been very impressive, I'd say, so far throughout preseason. Winning 3 on the trot, beating the Crusaders, which is pretty impressive, like 41-14 or 13 I saw, which is like mind-blowing. But again, it's preseason. But they also won their other 2 games. But yeah, they have some good talent in there. And you have to remember that Jamie Joseph, of course, is now the new director at the Highlanders. So I'm not sure if he has a influence in terms of how they're kind of their playing style. But I'm intrigued just how the Highlanders do throughout the season, because they're a team which has just a lot of young talent, and that's kind of what they've always been about, really, with young talent. So it's going to be pretty exciting to see how they get along. Again, I did mention they obviously have Tamusi Tavata Nawai, so he's going to be a big talent, I think, for them, and a key player, really, in how well they do. Even like John Nareki as well. They got Sam Gilbert, who had a pretty impressive season last year. I'm trying to think who else. They did lose Mitch Hunt, and they also lost Aaron Smith, which is probably the key one. But again, that obviously allows Falau Fakatava to step up into the levels. So I'm kind of hoping he can get the job done. But that's definitely another player to kind of look out for throughout the season. But but then, of course, for the Fiji Dura, they haven't really lost a lot of their players, and they were fantastic last year. They were like mind-blowing. Like, they won literally, I think most of their home games. That's kind of what allowed them to obviously make the playoffs. I think in their second year, which it was. So it was mind-blowing, obviously, what happened last year. So they're going to be hoping to replicate the same thing, but this time their objective is going to be to win more games away. I think that's what they really need to make sure they kind of do this time around. Because again, if that does mean they lose a few at home, then I think they would accept that, just because it means that they're learning. You're at least learning how to kind of beat teams at their home ground, and that's what's needed. Because when you get to the playoff stage, that's where sometimes you're going to have to go away and face a team. So it's a difficult task, but you need to have experience in doing that and getting wins on the bounce. So for the Fiji Dura, I mean, that's probably the key thing for them, which is why, if I'm looking at the Fiji Dura as well as Highlanders, I'm actually going to go with Fiji Dura as 7, and I'm going to go with Highlanders as 6. So that's kind of where I'm going off at the moment. Again, when it goes towards 5th and 4th, I've actually gone with the Hurricanes in 5th. So this is a bit of an old one, because the Hurricanes it's a tough one to tell where they're actually going to finish this year, because they obviously don't have the likes of Artis Sevilla, as he is doing his sabbatical in Japan. So that's a big loss. But again, they have brought in Brad Shields back, the veteran, really, for them, because he's played over 100 games. But he'll be a good addition, obviously, to kind of come back into the side. Same with TJ Perinar. He'll be good to kind of give a bit of a boost towards them. You have the likes of Cam Roygaard, who'll step up a notch, of course, and Ruben Love and Jordy Barrett, and Nahalo. Nahalo had a good year last year. You can hopefully try to replicate that. We'll see. The wait and see. But I think in terms of signings, I don't think the Highlanders. I mean, I'm looking now, by the way, guys, quickly, just while I'm doing this. Like, I don't think the Highlanders have made a lot of signings. To be frank, guys, out of all the sides, I don't think they really have made. They haven't really done a lot of action, I'd say, in terms of transfer activity. It's really just more like, I think the key players are really more Punavai, I guess, from the Chiefs, Brad Shields, and you can say James Tucker, actually, from the Blues. That's a good sign, to say, from in the locking position. But again, like I said, they obviously have lost the likes of Artis Sevilla, Dan Coles, and even forgot to mention Julian Sevilla at the Mono Pacifico. That's a big one for Mono Pacifico as well, by the way, guys. But yeah, just it's going to be awesome to see what they can do there. But I think Hurricanes, I'm going to put them in 5th place. But in 4th, this is where it gets a bit of an odd one in a way, because a lot of people may be surprised I'm putting this team here, but I'm actually going to put the Crusaders in 4th. And okay, let me explain why I'm putting them putting them here first because I know there's obviously a bit of you may just be like, what is this guy thinking about? But let me just give you the reasons why. One, they have a ton of injuries, and if you look at the injuries they have, it's in key positions. Like they no longer. Oh, so Will Jordan is the one who's kind of the only one where you don't know what's going to happen with him at the moment because he has a shoulder injury, but you don't know how long he's going to be out for. You have Fergus Burke, who's going to be out with Achilles injury up until April, so that's a big loss because he was meant to be the cover for Richie Mo'unga, who's obviously left. You then have the likes of David Avili, he's returning, but he's only going to come back until after the first round, so he'll only start from the second round onwards. And then you don't have Ethan Blackadder, I think, for until round 3 or 4. So that's another injury that they don't have another player they can't kind of put in the starting lineup straight away. They don't have the likes of Brandon Enor. Of course, he just unfortunately he's just always a bit injured and just a very injury prone player. And yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think who else. I mean, they don't have Cody Taylor available because he's off in sabbatical, or kind of he's kind of sabbatical. Just he'll join the team later in the season. And yeah, again, obviously, the second reason is that they've lost a lot of key players. Just who's left now. Obviously, Richard Mo'unga is the main one. Sam Whitelock. They no longer have the likes of Lester Fanahanku. So yeah, that's just 3 key names right off the back there. But again, the balance that out, they have brought in some decent signings with the likes of Levi Mua. I'm trying to think who else. They brought in Lee Halfpay. I mean, that's another player, by the way. He's also injured. He was meant to be another cover, but he's now also injured. They brought in Matalei, who's now back, I guess, with the Crusaders. So that'll be a good kind of cover in terms of wing spots. Even Ryan Crotty's return, which is kind of a cool one to see. But again, they've had to do that because Brennan Enor is just injured now, and Havili is obviously out just for the first round. But they even brought in Owen Franks back, which is crazy. But yeah, again, they've lost some good players, and even I'm trying to think of the other one. It's Jack Goodhue, who's also left as well. That's just. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. Even Ola Yeager has obviously gone back to Ireland, and then there's Havili, who I mentioned, has gone to Mono Pacifica. Yeah, they've lost some key players. So I just think overall they're kind of a bit of a mess in the moment. And again, the big one, of course, is Scott Robinson, no longer the Crusaders coach. Rob Penny, of course, the new one there. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of coaches this team and kind of the players he has available to him, because throughout earlier stages of the season, it just doesn't look good for them. So that's kind of why I'm saying they're going to finish in 4th. Again, I could be proven wrong here, but I'm going to say they finish in 4th. And for that reason, the 3 teams left are, of course, the Brumbies, the Chiefs, and the Blues. So yeah, in any order, I mean, this is where it gets a bit of a. Even I'm still thinking what I'm going to put here, guys. But I think when I look at the fixtures and comparing the fixtures between these 3 teams, I'm going to go with the Brumbies to finish in 3rd. And again, the Brumbies are a very solid team, as you know, guys. They've always been very competitive at home. Probably one of the best teams when it comes to home form, actually. I think really only the Fiji Dura was up there with them in terms of home form, maybe last year, maybe even the Crusaders, maybe, I don't know. But it's one of those where I just think, yeah, Brumbies are just a force to be reckoned with in terms of Australian rugby, and they're kind of one of the bright spots actually for Australia, which is good, obviously, and that's what's needed because we want obviously competition in Australia. We want them to be competitive in a lot of fronts. Obviously with the Wallabies not doing well in the World Cup, we want them to kind of develop new talents and kind of bring the competition to a life. So yeah, and the Brumbies, if they can continue doing that, that's awesome. And I think they have some awesome players there with the likes of Noah Laseo. They got Lachlan Nottingham. They got Ryan Nottingham, his brother. He'll be covering Nick White now with him leaving. They have Tom Wright, of course. No, is Tom Wright still there? I think he's still there. Yeah, Tom Wright is still there. They have some good players in there. Even Len Ikatal, awesome player. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they get along. But I just think they've always been a solid team. Again, really the only big loss I think for them is really Pete Samu, who's gone off. But gone off to France. But besides that, they've been able to kind of keep their team, the core team. So yeah, I think they'll do pretty well. So yeah, 3rd place for them. And then yeah, this is where it comes down to, you guys, 2nd and 1st. It's a tough one because both sides, I think, just have a ton of talent when it comes towards the Chiefs and Blues. But it's one of those where I'm thinking of fixtures, but also just in terms of players. Both teams are lost, and who is the more impactful loss from each team. And I think the Chiefs have lost more impactful players for their side in terms of experience and just talent than what the Blues have. I could be wrong in that sense, but I'm just going off the names here. They don't have Brad Weber anymore. But again, obviously the Chiefs do have covering in Cortez Ratima, so that'll be good kind of cover. And so that's kind of covered in that way. So you can kind of minus that one if you wanted to. Retallick, of course, there's he has that's a really big loss. So they're not, you're gonna have to have the likes of like what George, you're gonna have to have the likes of what Josh Lord and even like Tupa Valai step up in his place. So kind of hoping they kind of do well in that department. Again, you no longer have the likes of Sam Kane, who of course is going off to Japan. So that's again, you may not think that's a big loss, but he's a good player, guys, and he's actually done. He was very good for the Chiefs last year in Super Rugby, so he's going to be a player missed for them. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get along, and even Sumakula is also left as well. So yeah, they don't have that core which people most think they do. But again, to flip it on the other end, the Chiefs are just awesome because they now have McKenzie back. They have the return of Quinn Dupaya, which is the big one for me. I mean, I want to see how well. I want him to be back in the All Blacks, guys. So that's how much I rate that guy. So I want him to do well. And they've had a lot of Brown there, of course. I think they even brought in Caleb Trask, if I'm not mistaken. If I go to their team quickly here, guys, I mean, yeah, they got some decent players in. I mean, Caleb Trask is probably the big one. I mean, they got Ruben O'Neill, I guess, from the Crusaders. But besides that, they haven't made as many signs as you could think. I mean, it's really just more on the losses they've had. I mean, yeah, even Atu Moli went to the Western Force. Bryn Gatlin went to Japan. Gosh, I'm trying to think of else. Alex Nankivell, that's the other name. He's gone off, of course, towards Ireland. So that's another big loss for them. But again, they've always been covering that kind of center department. But yeah, no, the Chiefs are an awesome team, guys. But the Blues, I think they're going to finish first, guys. And I just think the reason because of that is just they just have so much depth in each area, guys, and that's the main reason why I've gone with the number one for the regular season. Just keep that in mind. Regular season we're talking about now, but Blues will finish first in regular season because they've lost Bowden Barrett, which is probably the key one in terms of player wise. They've lost Tom Robinson, of course. Both players got, I believe, to the same club actually, Toyota Veribits in Japan. So obviously, good luck to them, of course, and kind of hope they're doing well in that sense. But yeah, from that front, I mean, the other kind of main player I think they've lost is Nepalalala, if I'm not mistaken. That's kind of the other key player I can think of that the Blues have lost. But is there another player that I'm forgetting? I mean, James Tucker already discussed. Alex Hodgman, who's actually gone to the Reds. That's it. RTS has now gone to NRL. Well, NRL, he's returned. But yeah, I think besides that, the Blues have done. They brought in some talents. The likes of Lachlan. Well, they have well, the Blues have a lot of talented guys because they brought in the likes of Angus Talval. They got even Kenny Banks there. They got James Thompson. They got some good players there. I think that I've seen a few highlights, but I mean Angus Talval is a good important player to have because we lost 2 props in. But like I said, guys, the Blues just have depth, and they have the likes of Stephen Perifetta can cover, but Barrett, Zion Sullivan will have a big season for the Blues. Mark Talea, Caleb Clark. I mean, Caleb Clark was awesome throughout preseason. You have Reiko, Bryce Heen. You got Finley Christie. You got the loose forward trio with Hoskins Tutu, who everyone forgets about now. You got Dots Papali, who'll be the temporary captain because, of course, Tupiloto is out for at least 8 to 12 weeks 8 to 10 weeks because of a jaw injury. But no, besides that, then the Blues have the ability to finish first this year. So I'm backing the Blues to finish first in the regular season. So in that case, of course, it does mean the Blues will be facing the Western Force in terms of the playoffs. That means that the Chiefs will be facing the likes of the who did I say? I said the Fiji Dura, and then I said the Brumbies will be facing off against the Highlanders, and then of course that does mean that you'll have the likes of Crusaders versus Hurricanes. So yeah, there's some big key matchups there. And in terms of that prediction, I'd say Blues beat Western Force, Chiefs beat the likes of the Fiji Dura. You would have the likes of who else? Highlanders versus Brumbies. I mean, that's a tough one, actually. That's a tougher one than most people would say. I wouldn't be surprised if the Highlanders shake up the competition and actually win that. But is that too much of an ask? I don't know. I'll say Brumbies. I just think that if they're playing that game at home, I just think they have that around them. So I'll say Brumbies to win that game. And then, Crusaders Hurricanes. I mean, that's going to be a big one, guys. That will be a big matchup at home at the Crusaders. They'll have a lot of their players back for that. So So I'll bet the Crusaders in that game. So in that case, of course, that does mean that the Blues will be facing the likes of the Crusaders. Oh my gosh, in the semifinal, and then the Chiefs will be facing the likes of the who was it? The Brumbies. So that would be a tough one. But and that's actually the matchup we had last year, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, in that second and third one. But yeah, I'm gonna go Blues to beat the Crusaders. I'm gonna have Chiefs to beat the Brumbies, and who else but the Blues to win. That is my prediction, guys. Hopefully it comes true. We'll wait and see. Again, I just may be a deluded Blues fan as normal, but hey, you never know. You never know, guys. I'm hoping that my dream comes true and that the Blues can win Super Rugby and kind of stop the curse of the Crusaders. Hopefully they can break that curse. Let me know in the comments if you guys think the Blues can do it. Let me just know. But besides that, guys, I'll end the video here. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments, like I said, your predictions. I want to see everyone's predictions in the comments below. Comment below. Like the video, guys. Subscribe to our channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.